Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! So if you can't tell by the red and green papers out on my desk, it is time for another Christmas card. So this is May's 12 months of Christmas card. And this is an idea I saw on Pinterest. If I can find a link for it, I will leave a link in the description box down below. But I want to create a male deer and a female deer using, this is the Tim Holtz Sizzix die Cool Yule, and it's 663099. And I want to put them in like a wreath of Christmas greeneries and such, and I've already cut them out. But what I wanted to do was add a little interest to my pattern, my plain papers using stamps. So I've got some stamps over here that I've pulled out. And these are the colors I'm going to use for greenery, and some of them I will die cut like for the deers, I'll do the scarf, and for the girl deer, I'll probably do a bow in her hair. So to cut out the accessories for our critters, I want to add some interest to my plain paper. So let's start with this piece, and I'm going to pull out my mouse pad and grab, and if you haven't guessed, I'm going to go ahead and grab my plaid stamp because I love me some plaid. And let's go ahead and do this one, and I'm going to grab a block to put it on. And again, since this is just to add some interest and texture to pieces I'm going to die cut out, I'm not too worried about how good of an impression I get. I'm going to grab Distress Oxide and Rustic Wilderness for this. And my dogs are barking like loonies in the background, and I apologize. That's good enough for what I'm going for. And I think what I may do is rinse this off and stamp it over here with a different color. And then let's use some pine needles. It's going to be interesting because the stamp is still a little damp, so it's probably going to activate the ink a little bit, which is fine. Because again, not necessarily going for the pattern, just for some interesting texture on the pieces that we die cut out. So no perfection needed, and you can skip this step. You can use whatever stamps you may have. Completely up to you. This is just a get it a little more interesting than using just plain paper when we die cut out our pieces. Let's grab this piece over, grab the other plaid from that stamp set, and stamp it in Lumberjack Plaid. And this is the Distress Ink. And I've got aged mahogany out. I think I may. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to add a little contrast. I'm going to add Rustic Wilderness Distress Ink to this one and stamp it again on the red so we can have a red and green plaid piece. So got that. Then for this one, I am going to grab, oh, and the plaids are Perfect Plaid CMS 383. And then I'm grabbing Mr. Rabbit CMS 478 for the Distress Plaid on that stamp set. And for this, I'm going to grab some aged mahogany. It's really subtle, so I don't know if I'm loving that or not. Let's see what happens if I wet it and then dry it. It shows up a little bit better. I don't know how well you can see it on camera or not. And I'm probably going to do some more spritzing to activate more of the oxide where I stamped with the oxide. And I'm going to now try aged mahogany Distress Ink because it's a little darker. Oh, I like that. That's a little darker, showing up a little bit better. So yeah, that one's done. I got a couple more greens that I want to stamp a little bit too. Let's try this one. And this is from Woodlands CMS 476. And yeah, again, whatever stamps you have, just have a rummage around, play around. I'm just doing this to add a little bit more interest. I'm not even, you know, I'm gonna hardly pay attention to it when I die cut. I just figure, why not play with some stamps as well? Gives a little bit more texture to your die cuts than using just plain cardstock. So we'll see what that ends up doing. And then I've got one more piece of green. I figured I'd have 3 green options and then the 2 reds. So let's see, what do we want to use for that? I'm gonna grab, it's from the Ticking and Grain CMS 475, and I'm gonna grab one of the stripes. And so we'll get some stripes. For this one, I'll grab the Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide. And now I'm gonna go and die cut everything out, and then we'll come back and put it together. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces die cut out, and I did one other thing that I forgot to mention. I die cut out a circle to serve as the base for the wreath, just to help me out with keeping it circular. And what I did was I just took 2 circle dies, taped them together, and die cut out a piece of green cardstock to get me a circle to serve as the base for building our wreath on. But before I build the wreath, I want to assemble the reindeers. So we're going to start with that, and I'm going to pull out a scrap piece of paper because I'm also going to add a little bit more ink to my reindeers, because I cut them out of the same cardstock, but I don't want them to be exactly the same. So I think for one of them, I'm going to grab some scorched timber, and I'm going to grab a brush. Let's go with this one with the scorched timber, and I'm just going to add color using scorched timber. I'm going to start off my piece because I don't want to get super dark. And so starting off the piece helps, you know, so that you don't have too much ink on the brush when you get to the center. So now we've got a nice difference in our coloring between the two by adding some ink to it. So that is a really great way that you don't have to have all the colors cardstocks if you've got some colors of ink that you can ink with. So let's pull out our middle piece for this one. I just want to show you what that's going to look like. So that goes on there like so. So I'm also going to end up inking this piece, and I'm debating, I think part of me wants to just go scorched timber with this too, because it's a different colored cardstock. It's going to end up looking a little bit different than that piece. And so let's do it and see what we get. So I like it, but I want to warm it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is grab some vintage photo. I'm also going to grab a cloth, or you could grab a piece of paper towel. I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to rub my brush on here. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm going from a darker color to a lighter color, and if I don't clean it off at least a little bit, it's going to end up being way darker than what I want. And the reason I'm doing this without like spraying water straight onto the brush is because I don't want my brush to be super wet for this, because then you're just going to get messy splodginess. So I'm adding some vintage photo, which is a little bit of a warmer brown. I'm mixing that in. So that's going to go on like so. And then the last piece for this one is this piece, which goes on like that. And I'm gonna grab antique linen for that and possibly do a little tea dye along the edges. We'll see how this goes. Let's start with antique linen. I think this is gonna be our male reindeer, so I'm also gonna grab the antlers, which I die cut out of the same color, and ink those with the antique linen and be very gentle about it. Just dump those out because I'm having a hard time grabbing them. And you know what? This one's going to get antique linen too. Because see, look. Can you see the difference? Is it showing up on screen? Ooh. Sorry for like the psychedelic effect there. I bumped the light. I got a new light set up. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm just going to bring these up close so that you can see. Hopefully the difference in color between the two. It's subtle, but it's there. All right, let's go ahead and glue these parts on so they don't get lost. Oh, I did want to do one more thing on the pieces that are going on the nose. I want to grab some tea dye and add a link on the edges. A little ink around the edges. I can talk. Really, I can. I promise you. All right, let's put our parts together on this one real quick. And I haven't die cut out yet the eyes and such because I was worried I would end up losing them. So I just want to have our heads together just to help with creating the wreaths. So we're just gonna assemble our reindeer's heads so that I can use them in positioning the leaves for the wreath.
And I think I'm going to do the tea dye around the edges on this as well.
All right, so this antler goes on this side. And I'm trying to decide, I think I want to change up the color a little bit more. I think I'm going to brush on some tea dye. Because it's just still too close in color to that middle piece. There's our first reindeer's head, and he's gonna get the red scarf. So let's go ahead and put the red scarf on him down here. Doesn't he look fabulous with that scarf all in plaid? Let's see, we've got these guys to go inside the ears. They're definitely gonna need some inking. So let's do them. And actually what I'm gonna do is grab, this is the alt new sticky grid thing that goes in there. Stamp Around, I think is the tool that I've used before, and I picked it up because will hold stuff in place for you. And yes, this is staining, and it's staining from oxides, so just be aware that the oxides will cause some staining on it. But it's great because I can attach those cute little pieces on there and ink them without them moving around on me, and that is the wrong ink. Let's start with some antique linen. Yeah, I finally figured out as I'm reorganizing where the heck I put it. It was missing for a couple days. All right, so we've got that. Let's put one there and one there. And I feel like I want to ink the edges with tea dye and add a little bit of pink, like a touch of pink to the centers of them before we glue them down. So let's get ink on this and not just on my fingers, hopefully. That one I sent flying and it luckily stuck to my shirt. So those are all inked up, and I think what I'm gonna do is grab my Distress watercolor crayon to add some pink to the center. I think I'm gonna grab a little spun sugar and just add a little spun sugar to the centers, just to add a little bit of pink to them. And I'll grab a brush and blend that out. A bunch of water brushes, but no water in them. Oh wait, this one has water in it. Okay, we're just gonna blend that out a little bit. And I don't know how well you can see it because I can barely see it myself, but it's just one of those little added details. So there we go. Give that a sec to dry and then we'll add those on to him. Let's go ahead and ink these pieces. Let's figure out what color we want to ink them with. I think I'm going to grab Gathered Twigs for the bottom piece. I like that. I'm tempted to do it on here too, but very lightly. All right, let's glue this one together. And let's add our insides of our ears. And there are little indentations on the piece, which is why I'm kind of like tipping up to be able to see. All right, so those are, oh, she's getting a bow in her hair and a scarf on her neck. And actually, I think I'll put her bow on this side just so it's not where he is. So we'll add a little in the center and stick that down. So there's our girl and our boy deer. Let's give that a moment to catch. All right, so we've got her and him inside our ring. So they'll go kind of like so. And then we need to place our greenery to make the ring around them. Because right now I'm trying to decide, do I want to figure out my card base? Or do I want to try assembling the wreath without having done that first? Got that. So yeah, these are the ones that I die cut out of the, what is it, the Woodland stamp with all the pine cones and stuff. So it just added some texture. Close. So it just added some texture. That there. And then this was the one I think I did one of the oxides on, and If you tip it just right in the light, you can see it. Otherwise, it's not showing up so great. So that one was less successful. Nope, nope, nope. We're gonna stick this one in over here because these two are the same color, so I don't want to put them together. Yeah, I just want to get a good dry fit on our pieces just so I have some idea where they're going. Let's put our deer back in. It goes here, and we definitely want something completing the wreath down here. That goes like that. No, this one goes like that because of the contrast with her scarf is better. And then maybe this one gets stuck in over here and this one goes in over here, so it's not completely symmetrical, but I've used up all my pieces. I think I like that. So I think that's what we're gonna end up doing. And then I went ahead and cut it out of red as well. And then there are extra leaves so that you can layer on top, and I may save some to stick inside to help fill out the wreath. But I like how that's looking, and I'm gonna end up pulling this up and being like, where was that supposed to go? Because that's how it always happens. What I should have done first is inked the wreath, the ring that I made, so that it wouldn't show up as much because it's kind of a bright green. So definitely gonna have to be covering it up some. Because yeah, all right, we'll move him out of the way. We'll kind of shift that to the side, shift that up, shift that down, shift that over to the side. I'm gonna bring back my mat, stick down my circle, and grab some Rustic Wilderness to darken this. Also gonna grab the piney branch one. Die cuts out a stick for the branch. So I want to ink those parts brown. So we've got this one and this one, which didn't quite cut out all the way. But I figured it'd be easier to ink it and then cut it out the rest of the way. All right, we're gonna go scorched timber for those. So let's start by moving this out of the way. And then we will go ahead and add our bottom pieces, which are the Christmas tree branches, like the pine tree branches. And we can always later on, once they're tacked down, come in and do some editing and move some pieces about. Like what I may end up doing is cutting this piece like off here and moving it and placing it somewhere else. But for now, let's just get it tacked down where it touches, in theory. If I put the glue in the right spot, we can get it tacked down. And let's do the one on this side. It's roughly the same spot, if not exactly the same spot. And this one, it's a little bit more because it's curving a different way in line with the circle. I'm gonna hold off to put this one down because I think I want these pieces to go kind of underneath. So we're gonna glue this one down. And then this one will come on like that. And I think I'm gonna leave it this way instead of, you can shift stuff around, like I can curve it, but I think I wanna have it springing out that way. But I also think perhaps I want that sticking out there or there. Let me grab something for a second. This is ultimately going to go on a 5x7 card. So let's make sure we're not making our wreath too big to go on our card base. So this is just a piece of comic book board I cut out to 5x7 so that I could see card size wise. Okay, I think that's gonna work. And then this one will go down there. So, did I glued that piece down before gluing this piece on so that we'd have the contrast on the branch. All right, that one's not getting glued down. Oi, I hate when I do that. All right, all right, I'm having a bit of a think because we're spreading outward more than I would like. I think we're gonna do some editing. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that there so that I can put it more like that. I think I mixed up which one was gonna go there because that just matches her scarf completely. I used the same one. Nope, that's down. I think it was supposed to be one of the ones that I stuck up there. Ooh, well, too late now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit off this leaf, which I can then tuck in over here, which needs more. I'm gonna put this on like so. Oops. And now I'm gonna bring in my extra leaves, which I realized I should have been attaching them as I went along, because now some of them are, because they can layer on top, like they were designed to match up to, like this one will layer on top of that to add more dimension. So let's find some that we want to actually layer. And like this guy layers on there to add a little bit more dimension. But I think I'm going to use the one that's the stamping shows up on more and stick that there. So let's go ahead and put those on. So I'm now just going to go around and decide which leaves are getting layered on top of the die piece and which leaves are going to get stuck in to fill in the wreath. Because yeah, there definitely needs to be some filling in going on in some spots. And so this is the benefit of not having glued everything all the way down and just tacking it to the wreath base, is I can go in and lift stuff up. All right, I want to add some berries on because that's going to help a little with figuring out what needs something. If I add some berries on top of the greens, it's going to break up my greens a little bit. Okay, let's grab my quick stick. And try and figure out which berries go with which branch. All right, those are leaves. I feel like I'm missing a red berry somewhere. And I'm just gonna harvest it off of the red branch I've got. That because it's all one die for each of the branches. The berries come, you know, it's one die that cuts berries and branches. That makes sense. And so I can just harvest it off of that because I'm not planning on putting the red branches in. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut these pieces off so that I can add them onto those berries, because I don't think it die cuts those out, because if it did, I've lost them. All right. I think I'm gonna hold off on adding any more to the wreath until I put it down on the base and get our reindeer fully situated. So they're gonna go, woo. Let's bring this around. They're gonna go something like so. And yeah, I definitely need to fill in leaves down here, which I've got plenty of extra leaves left over to do some filling in. But what I need is a base for this. And I need to cut out eyeballs for the reindeers. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back. And once I get that done, we can do final assembly and get this card finished. Okay, so I've gone ahead and die cut out face pieces, and I've left them on the mat so I wouldn't lose them. Because yeah, those itty bitty eyes, always a risk. I've also grabbed some red and green cardstock. I figured those I'm gonna use for layering. And I embossed a piece of white cardstock. I don't know how well the embossing is showing up. Woo! So it's embossed with a Cuttlebug embossing folder that I've had forever. And there, I did get some cracking. I probably should have spritzed it with a little bit of water before I embossed, but I didn't. But that's okay, because our wreath and our deers take up so much real estate. We probably aren't going to see any of the cracked bits because, see, the wreath takes up pretty much the whole dang thing. So that's gonna go about there. And in fact, I think I'm gonna go ahead and glue the ring down, yes, to the white embossed piece. And then we can fill in where needed, hopefully. So that's gonna go pretty much like so. And I think I want to pop up the reindeer, so I think I'm gonna use foam squares for them, but let's put their faces on first. So for our gentleman, I am planning on doing, I wanna see how this looks. I think I'm gonna do the monocle for him that comes in the set, if I can get it to come off my cutting mat. So I think he's gonna get the monocle over his eyeball. Let's put the eyeballs on, because that'll make putting the monocle in place easier. And there's a nose, let's not lose that. Uh-oh. Did I lose an eye? The piece came off with the oh man. I seem to have lost an eyeball. I don't know how I lost an eyeball. I didn't take the pieces off. Let me go check real quick and make sure it didn't stick in the die. I lost an eyeball. And if I was just doing one critter that had eyeballs, I'd be like, that's fine, I'll just draw them on. But I don't want to use eyeballs for some and no eyeballs for the other, if that makes any sense. All right, we're gonna start with the mustache, and then we'll put eyeballs on, and I'll die cut some more eyeballs. Really do not love the itty bitty pieces. All right, he's got a mustache. And above the mustache, we will put the nose. And we'll put the nose on the girl. And for the girl, I die cut out glasses. go ahead and put her glasses on. Okay, and then he's getting the monocle. So let's go ahead and put that on. And put glue on the back of the string for the monocle everywhere except where it's actually gonna attach to him. All right, so let's put the eyeballs on that I have. Oh wait, I found it! It landed on my mat over here. Yay, we have all the eyeballs. All right, let's put a little glue down and attach her eyeballs. So there, she's all done. And then let's attach eyeballs to him. Oh, I'm tickled by how they came out. I think they're too stinking adorable. I really like those. All right, so let's get this card finished. So let's put them on and pop them up. So let's grab some foam squares or foam circles. And I'm actually gonna add a little glue just to help with the longevity of my foam squares or circles, as the case may be. And I just cut off the bits around because why waste it? It's foam squares. It's got adhesive on it. And yes, I like to put a lot of foam squares down. All right, let's stick him down. And again, I'm gonna add glue to the foam squares, this side of the foam squares, just to help ensure we stay stuck. Uh-oh, I should not have foam squared that ear. Let's pull that off. Stick that over here and just add a little glue to her ear because she's overlapping him. Oh my God, how stinking cute are they? How stinking cute are they, if I do say so myself? All right, let's do some more leaf filling in because there needs to be some leaves down here. And then we can clear this stuff out of the way so I can pull my paper trimmer up and cut out the card base and some mats. Mostly because this guy has like the stamping's not showing and I feel it needs a little bit more textural interest down there. All right, I think I'm gonna call that done. I'm gonna clean up all my little extra scrappy bits. All right, so I've gone ahead and cut cut everything out that I need. So I've got my card base, which is 7 by 10. So I'm gonna fold that in half, and that'll get me my 5 by 7 card. And realize I'm handling this and my hands are dirty. Probably not the best idea in the world. So I cut this piece at 5 by 7. This piece is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 because my embossed piece is 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. So we're just gonna glue all these guys down and we'll be done with this card. Okay, I am completely, my art glitter glue is clogging up on me because it's that time of year. So let's grab our Barely Art glue and see if that will cooperate so that we can get this card finished and I can clean out my glue later. Okay, let's try this. All right, there we go. We are getting glue. Now when I assemble cards, and I'm putting like a mat on, I tend to attach it at the fold line first. This way, if there's any bits that need to be trimmed off because it's not exactly straight and correct, it's easier if the issues are not at the fold side. Because, yeah, sometimes papers aren't exactly straight. Now for this one, I'm going to put the glue on this piece because it's not covering the whole base. I've got art glitter glue oozing everywhere. Tis warm weather season, and so it's time for me to have glue problems. All right, let's kind of eyeball center that, which that looks pretty good. We're gonna just press that down. And now we are gonna add our piece. Oops. All right, let's add glue to this piece. Eyeball centering it. Looks pretty good. Get up any glue seepage. So there we go. Nice close-up of all of the details. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.